What are the top 10 countries in the world with the most beautiful women based on the typical guy's opinion of what beautiful means? Since every guy has slightly different opinions or sometimes radically different opinions on what beautiful means. I will tell you right now in this video, I am Caleb Jones. This is Alpha Male 2.0. I make a multi-six-figure location independent income while dating multiple attractive women, and I show men like you how to do the same thing. And I am here right now in my apartment in Paraguay. I'm off to Panama in about 2 weeks, and then I'm back home in Dubai, and then I'll be in Armenia. So I've traveled the world, all over the world for many, many years, and I have spoken with literally hundreds of men all over the world who also travel all over the world and discuss with them on the best places in terms of attractive women. So in this video, I'm going to take all the data that I have learned through traveling the world for the past decade plus the hundreds of men I have spoken to who have also traveled all over the world and gotten their data and opinions, and I have collated this into a final top 10 list of the top 10 most attractive women in the world in terms of countries. And I don't think I've ever done this before. Matter of fact, I know I've never done this before. I've talked about different cities, different countries, different locations in terms of attractiveness of women, but I've never actually broken it down to the top 10. Now, a few things before I begin. Number one, I am not talking here about the best places to move to. I am only talking here about the places where the women are the most physically attractive. I am not discussing any other factor in this video, so this list is not indicative of any other factor. It is certainly not indicative of places you would want to move to or even visit. For example, one of the countries on this top 10 list in terms of having really hot women is Venezuela. You do not want to live in Venezuela. You don't even want to visit Venezuela right now. So we're not talking about where to go or where to visit. We're just talking about how attractive those women are, generally speaking. Second thing, I'm also not talking about the best places to date women. I am not talking about the easiest places to get laid or the easiest places to date women or the places where you can find the nicest women. I'm not discussing that at all in this video. Again, this is just how physically hot those women are. There are some places that have attractive women where they are difficult to date. And there are some other places that have cute women that are really easy to date. For example, this country is not on this list, but in terms of getting laid really, really easily, I've talked about this before, that would be number one on that list would be the Philippines. The Philippines is probably the easiest place on planet Earth for a Western guy to get laid. So if you just want to get laid, you don't really care about how hot they are, go to the Philippines. But in terms of how physically attractive those women are as compared to other women in other countries, Philippines is nowhere near the top 10 best countries. So again, we're not talking about the ease of getting laid or how nice the women are or the best place to find a wife or any of that stuff. We're just talking about how physically attractive these women are. The next thing I have to cover with you before I get into this list is that, as I mentioned earlier in this video, every man has different opinions on what is attractive. Some men really like Asian girls. Some men really don't care about Asian girls. So there are some Asian countries on this list, and there are some countries in Eastern Europe, and there are some countries in various other places. Some men like Latina women, some men hate Latina women. Some men love tall blonde women from Eastern Europe. Some men hate tall blonde women. Some men like women with big tits. Some men like small tits. Every guy likes something different. So it's kind of difficult for me to sort this into a top 10 list. So what I did, as best I'm able to do, is sort this list from 10 to 1 in terms of what most men I have found tend to like. This hierarchy of the top 10 list may not match, probably won't match you individually as a person. But I've spoken to, as I've said, hundreds of men all over the world in terms of what they like. I have done both scientific and unscientific surveys of my audience through my email list and through my blogs over the years on the types of bodies that most men tend to like and most men tend to not like. So I've taken all that data and I've come up with this hierarchy of this top 10 list. But realize this list applies to the gamut of men all over the world. It may not apply to you specifically. And I'm sure I'm going to get comments on this video that say, well, you put Japan at this number, it really should be at this number. That's your opinion based on what you like, and that's fine, that's valid. But I'm not talking to strictly you as an individual in this video. I'm talking to thousands of people who watch this video. Make sense? Okay. We will start this list with number 10 and we will end with number 1. And number 1 is the country with the hottest women in the world, literally. But we'll start with number 10, and number 10 is South Africa. I have never been to personally South Africa, though I have interacted with South African women, and I've spoken to many, many men who live in South Africa and or have traveled to South Africa and or who have moved to South Africa from other countries or moved away from South Africa to other countries. And a general consensus is, based on what they've told me and based on what I have seen, women in South Africa look pretty damn good. It's number 10 on this list. They're not the hottest women on earth, but overall, those women are pretty attractive. Charlize Theron comes from South Africa. Now, you can't obviously make generalizations about one person or one celebrity that comes from any one country. But you get my point. South Africa, based on the data that I've got, is pretty damn good in terms of hotness of women. Matter of fact, I plan on visiting South Africa in 2022, next year. It's one of those countries on my list that I wanted to visit for a long time that I haven't had time to, and because of the cerveza sickness, I haven't been able to, especially last year. But anyway, number 10, South Africa. Definitely take a look at South Africa if you have an interest. Also, I find the Afrikaans accent for at least white women in South Africa to be pretty sexy. That's probably just my subjective opinion. But men have a lot of opinions, including myself, about what accents are sexy and what accents sound more feminine. For example, many British accents sound very attractive on women, and many Australian accents don't sound that attractive in terms of women, so it really depends on the accent. I can do a whole video on accents and what men find attractive in terms of that. Maybe I'll do that for another time. But that's number 10. Number 9, Brazil. Brazilian women. There are lots of Brazilian models. Brazilian women are very sex positive. They're much lower ASD than a lot of women. Some Brazilian women are kind of crazy, but Brazilian women are attractive. They are. That is a pretty general consensus about Brazilian women. Now, Brazilian women is a very specific type of woman. You're looking at women who have big butts or nice butts, nice boobs. They're not quite as curvy and exaggerated as Colombian women, but they are pretty damn good. They are certainly more attractive than Argentinian women, who I find kind of normal, and maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe a 7 in terms of attractiveness for Argentinian women. But anyway, Brazilian women, very, very good. Very few men think Brazilian women are ugly, and a lot of men find Brazilian women very attractive. Brazilian women aren't personally my type. I'm not super into Brazilian women, but I do understand. I do certainly see the appeal of Brazilian women. Hell yes. By the way, I want to mention this also. This list, and this should be obvious by now, but this list is not my personal opinion on what I find personally attractive. I'm here in Paraguay, and if this was Caleb's top 10 list of top 10 most attractive countries, Paraguay would be in that list. But Paraguay is not on this list because, again, I'm not talking about my personal opinion here. I'm talking about an aggregate of most guys, what most guys view as attractive. Me included in that category, but not just me, mostly you guys. That brings us to number 8, our first Eastern European country, and that is Ukraine. Ukrainian women are not quite as attractive as Russian women, but they are still very, very attractive, especially if you like blonde women, but there's a lot of non-blonde Ukrainian women that are really, really attractive. Amazing bodies, very pretty faces. They tend to be taller if you like tall girls, but there are Ukrainian women who are not taller. Matter of fact, there is a certain person in my life right now who is of Ukrainian descent, and she is not tall. So in my opinion, that's kind of the best of both worlds because I tend to like shorter women. But Ukrainian women are really hot. Now, I have mentioned before about the trouble with dating Russian and or former Soviet countries women, Eastern European women. That is a topic for another time. You can go to my blog and check that out if you really want to. Where again, we're just talking about physical attractiveness. And in terms of physical attractiveness, yeah, man, Ukrainian women are really, really hot. Totally down with that. Totally agree. By the way, before we get to number 7, there's something you need to do. You need to subscribe to this channel, like this video, click the stupid notification bell, and leave a comment on this video, even if you disagree with me, even if the comment is one word. I don't care what the comment is. The more attention and algorithm juice I get on this type of content, the more content I will provide on these platforms. So this will only help you by doing those 4 things. All right, number 7. Number 7 on this list. Very similar women in some respects to Ukrainian women, and that is Sweden. Swedish women. Oh my God. Swedish women are so attractive. It's kind of ridiculous. Again, especially if you like blonde women. I do. Partial to that. They're not quite as curvy or busty as Russian or Ukrainian women. The vibe of Swedish women is very different. The culture is certainly very different, but we're not talking about culture here in this video. We're just talking about physical attractiveness. Swedish women are really, really attractive. Frankly, you could almost, and I'm not an authority on this, so I'm speaking a little out of school here, but based on what I've heard, and I've heard a lot, you could consider all three of the northern Scandinavian countries, Sweden, Norway, Finland, into this category. Although of those three countries, in terms of hotness of females, you're mostly talking Sweden, although Norwegian chicks are very hot, Finnish chicks are very hot. We could have that discussion. Maybe we could have that discussion another time. But certainly Sweden, absolutely strong, number 7 on this list. By the way, in terms of dating attractive women and having that skill set to get from 0 to sex as quickly as possible with the least amount of money spent, this is something I've been doing for a very long time. I have a book called, YouTube probably won't like this title, but it's called Get to Sex Fast at gettosexfast.com. And it is part of the Black Dragon dating system where it shows you how to get from 0 to sex within 2 dates and 3 to 4 hours of total FaceTime with less than $27 spent. It is something I've done over and over and over and over and over and over again for 14 years now. Thousands of other men have done this. If you have any interest, you can go to gettosexfast.com. Check that out. It will help you. These are real world proven dating techniques that actually work, that have worked for a very long time, including right now. Okay, number 6 on this list, as I sort of teased earlier, is Venezuela. Venezuelan women are super, super hot. There's no surprise to this because they tend to win a lot of beauty pageants and worldwide beauty pageants around the world. And it's not surprising, especially considering that Venezuela borders Colombia, another super hot, super smoking hot country. Venezuelan women are not quite as curvy and quite as full set, if you want to say, than Colombian women, but it's close. They're a little smaller, just a little bit than Colombian women. Not to say Colombian women are bad, Colombian women are fucking hot, but Venezuelan women are certainly super, super duper attractive. Once Venezuela gets over its problems, which will be a long time from now, you can certainly travel to Venezuela and check that out. You don't want to go there now unless you like eating cats and dogs for lunch. But in terms of the attractiveness of women, Venezuelan women are some of the most attractive women literally in the world. Number 5, and these are, by some estimates, including my own, perhaps the hottest women in the world, and this, no surprise here, this is Russia. Russian women are, hands down, in terms of face and body, if you like big tits, hips, ass, white skin, blonde hair, or light-colored hair, tall or maybe not. They tend to be a little taller. I don't like tall women, but whatever. Russian girls, Russian women, yes, 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 yes. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I wrote an article on my blog years ago. It's one of the most popular articles I ever wrote on why I no longer date Russian women. I have dated and or had sex with many Russian women over my history, and Russian women are extremely, extremely difficult to date. They are extremely difficult to have in relationships for a number of reasons I'm not going to get into that is beyond the scope of this video. But just be aware, there are problems and dangers dating Russian women because of the darkness of that culture. I could do a whole thing on this and I won't. You're welcome to go to calebjones.com/blog and just type in Russian women in the search bar. You'll get that article if you want to read more about that. So I'm not, once again, I'm not talking about the best women to date or the easiest women to date or the ideal women to have in relationships. I'm just talking about physical attractiveness, and hands down, yes. In terms of physical attractiveness, Russian women are smoking hot. Matter of fact, at some point this year or next year, I will be going to Moscow and or St. Petersburg. Probably not this year, probably next year when my schedule calms down a little bit, because now that I live in Dubai, I'm much closer to these places, so I'll be able to check this out for myself. But I have dated many Russian women who lived in the West, and very attractive. I'll keep the negative stuff silent for this video, but they are very, very, very hot. No doubt about that at all. Russian women for the win in terms of physical attractiveness. By the way, if you want more data on dating much younger women, if you're an older guy like me, you can click this video right here on some techniques on how to date younger women, 4 techniques in particular. You're welcome to check that out. I've dated a lot of younger women in my life. Matter of fact, most women I've been with were significantly younger. Not all of them, but most. More than 50%, so something I know a little about. Of any race, by the way, from any culture, it doesn't really matter. Number 4 on this list, in terms of Asian women now, these women are probably, in my opinion, the hottest Asian women, but that's my personal opinion, but this is again based on most men's opinion. Number 4 on this list is South Korea. Korean women are probably, this is debatable because Japanese women are also very hot, the best looking and or sexiest of the Asian women. That doesn't mean other Asian races aren't attractive. They are. I think Asian women are beautiful. I've dated many Asians. Asian women are great. But in terms of physical attractiveness, those Korean girls are really, really, really hot. And that is yet another country that I have not visited yet, South Korea. I'm definitely going to visit there next year. I'm going to spend significant time there, as a matter of fact, because I got some things I got to do over there, business stuff. So yes, South Korean women and North Korean women, for all I know, I guess I won't know until they reunify, but South Korean women, super, super attractive. Probably the hottest Asian women, although there is a possible rival to those women I will discuss in a minute. Number 3, and there's a lot of consensus on this, and I tend to agree, is Romania. Romanian women are really attractive. I have dated several Romanian women. There are lots of Romanian women in other countries, particularly Italy and Sicily, places I spent a decent amount of time in or have. Romanian women are really, really attractive, and unlike the Ukrainian women and the Russian women, Romanian women kind of run the gamut of different looks and hairstyles and hair colors and facial structures. So it's very hard to pigeonhole what a Romanian woman looks like as compared to other countries and other cultures, other nationalities and races. But bottom line, hell to the yes, Romanian women are ridiculously good looking, super hot. It's very popular among you guys in my audience, Romanian women. A lot of you guys go to Romania specifically for that reason. I know men who have married Romanian women just again for that reason. They go to Romania to find a wife. Yes, we could do probably a whole thing on Romania and Romanian chicks. I won't in this video, but certainly Romanian women are ridiculously hot. Easily number 3 on this list. Number 2 on this list, and this one might be a little controversial, but I've gotten a lot of data from a lot of you, and I understand and I agree with it in terms of attractiveness of women, and this is Japan. Japanese women are ridiculously attractive if, and I always add this in here, if you don't mind small boobs. If you don't mind or you like small boobs, and I don't, but if you don't mind or you like or prefer small boobs, you need to go to Japan. Just go to Tokyo. I've had this experience several times, and it blows me away every time. Just go to Tokyo and walk around. Walk around the streets. Now with COVID, everyone's wearing masks, so you won't actually get this full experience, and you really can't until they stop wearing masks over there. But when you just walk around, certainly pre-cerveza sickness, you just walk around, you will see the hottest women on planet Earth just walking around the streets. And they're dressed hot and sexy. Not only are Japanese women super, super hot, but they present very well. Korean women are like this too. They dress very well. They do themselves up perfectly. They present well. They know how to work it. And it's strange because in Japan, it's an interesting culture. We have these smoking hot, gorgeous women dressed in these slutty, sexy outfits walking around all over the cities. And then you have these men and they're all dressed in suits. And it's all the same suit and they all look the same. And I'm not being a shithead about Japanese people. I'm just saying that all the men in Japan, it feels like wear the same suit. That's just the impression I always get there. It's a very collectivist society that way. But it's interesting in Japan to see the contrast between the men and the women. The women are very exaggerated and the men are all kind of cookie cutter. Very interesting in Japan. At least for the older guys. The younger guys are a little more, cool and things like that. There's alpha males in Japan just like there are in any other culture. But we can do a whole thing on Japan, on the herbivore men, how 28% of men under 30 in Japan don't want to have sex. That will only help you as a Westerner if you want to go to Japan and explore the women over there. I have worked with many guys and spoken with many guys who go to Japan and they have limited luck in their Western countries and they go to Japan and they're getting laid all over the place with super hot women and they're shocked at how easy it is. Yeah, Japanese women are really, really attractive. I'll never forget the first time I visited Japan, or spent real time in Japan, I should say, was a trip from Shanghai to Tokyo. I was in Shanghai for a week, Tokyo for a week. I like Shanghai better as a city. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. But in terms of the women are kind of eh. And then I went to Tokyo and my God, what a difference. Holy crap. It's only an hour and a half distance by plane across the ocean there, but wow. But yes, Japanese women, definitely for the win. Japan, number 2 on this list. Now, that brings us to number 1. The number 1 place where the hottest women on the planet Earth are, in my opinion and in many of your opinions. And there's probably no surprise if you know my content, if you've seen me talk about these topics before, which I have, and that is Colombia. So Colombian women, and we could generalize about Bogota or Medellin or other regions in Colombia, but Colombian women are very curvy, They have amazing skin, they have amazing hair, they have very pretty faces for the most part. They tend to be prettier in terms of their faces in Medellin than they do in Bogota, but they're hot in Bogota too. These are the best looking women in the world, unless you don't like over feminine looking women. If you don't like big boobs or hips or ass, if you don't like that stuff, if you like your women a little skinnier or smaller or less curvy, then maybe you will not agree with this #1 ranking. But most men, according to the data I've gathered from you guys, both scientific and unscientific surveys, like curvy women with attractive faces. And that is Colombia. Hell to the yes. If you have never been to Colombia, I strongly suggest you at least visit there. Go there for a week and just look around. Just go to a mall and look around. If you're going there for women in particular, you probably want to go to Medellin, although Bogota is a good place too. I usually spend time in Bogota because I don't go to Colombia to get laid. I go to Colombia for business reasons and Five Flags reasons and investment reasons. But yes, Colombian women are amazing, ridiculous hot. Dark-skinned women, light-skinned women, dark-haired women, blonde women, you can find whatever you want there. They're smoking hot, and very few men disagree with this. There are some men who will disagree, but most men don't. I hope that helps, and if there are countries you think I didn't mention or that should have been on this list, again, not in your personal opinion, but in terms of what most men like, let me know in the comments, because I'm actually interested in your input on this one. I really want more data on what countries and what types of women men find attractive. That's very interesting to me. It also helps my business, and it'll help you in terms of the Alpha Male 2.0 community. And in the meantime, if you want some ideas on the top 11 places to move to where women is a factor, but a place you'd want to live, you can click this video right here on exactly the best countries that I know of, 11 great countries to move to, and check that out. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Bye.